If you know that you want to buy a home, but you're thinking, I need to wait until interest rates are lower or like at your ideal rate, I think that it's worth considering what that really means versus just waiting for this, let's say 7 to turn into a 6 or a 5. If you know that you want to buy a home, but you're thinking, I need to wait until interest rates are lower or like at your ideal rate, I think that it's worth considering what that really means versus just waiting for this, let's say 7 to turn into a 6 or a 5. But rather consider, like, what does that really mean financially and like cost? And does that really, should I wait because of that cost as opposed to just waiting for like this interest rate number to come down? An interest rate affects your mortgage because it's the cost of borrowing the money. And 1%, depending on the price range, let's say 750,000. I would estimate 1% probably going to cost you in the neighborhood of, let's say, $300. And so you're saying, I'm going to wait until who knows when for the interest rate to come down so that my mortgage is $300 cheaper per month. So, I mean, for some people, you got to do that, like $300. If it's that tight, by all means, you should wait. If your budget is not that tight, the problem with waiting is we don't know how long we're going to wait, and homes are only getting more expensive. I mean, except for a short period of time, 2022, like the end of let's say the back half of 2022, home prices went down for that 6 months, and then they started going back up, and they continue to go back up. So what I'm saying is, like, the home's just getting more expensive. Meanwhile, you're waiting for the mortgage to be maybe $300 cheaper. And it could happen that the home gets $300 more expensive just because the price comes up while you waited for the mortgage interest rate to go down. So it's just not a good strategy overall. Let's just say that you were going to buy a $750,000 house at 7% and your mortgage is $4,500, right? Because you're putting 20% down. So if you bought, let's say in January 2024, and that home was $750,000, and in a year, that home, so in 2025, that home could be worth 5% more. That's $35,000. Now it's a 785 value. And if interest rates come down 1% to 6, that mortgage might still be cheaper, but you've lost it on the equity opportunity, and you've lost on the ability to deduct certain expenses related to owning the home, taxes, interest, mortgage insurance. So yeah, on one hand, you saved a little money on the mortgage, but you lost on the backside for taxes, and you lost on value. And what we know is that the lower you could buy something when the day does come when you sell it, the lower that the acquisition price can be, the better you end up doing. And so it's like, yeah, you saved a little bit by waiting, but you really lost on the back end. And we also didn't even factor in the cost of rent, which just went out the window. So you really kind of lose everywhere, except for you didn't lose on committing today to a slightly higher payment. That's all you gained, really. I mean, generally speaking, because homes tend to go down for a short period of time. So yeah, so by buying sooner than later, I'm not saying buy now. Like, you don't need to unnecessarily buy now. It's just that if you know that you want to make the move, and the only thing that's holding you back is like, oh, it's expensive because of mortgage rates, it's like, maybe you look at it differently. And so I just don't want to say like buy now, like you're being dumb, but yeah, you want to buy now because things usually only get more expensive, except for very short windows where prices correct. And so then some people are like, well, I'll just wait for the market to go down and then I'll buy. Well, that's a great strategy. But if you're fearful of a payment being slightly higher because of a higher interest rate, I can almost guarantee you will be fearful that the market is going down and you won't pull the trigger in a down market because you're fearful of the reason that the market is going down. Like unemployment is higher, or there's some kind of like macroeconomic issue or geopolitical issue that causes real estate to go down. So if you have that fear-based mindset, I can almost guarantee that your idea of waiting around for the market to go down and then buy is not going to work. So in that case, you better get in as soon as you can, reasonable to your life, because usually prices just keep going up. I think the other problem with waiting to buy when rates go down is that we can, with a high level of certainty, almost predict that as soon as rates go down, you will see a much higher level of demand. So many more buyers entering the market, and you'll have a hot market, a competitive market. And so now you'll be multiple offers competing on more properties more frequently. We saw that briefly in January already this year when interest rates did come down for a few weeks to 6.5, and all of a sudden the funds started lighting up. Interest rates went back up closer to 7, so that cools off a little bit. But that is another problem with waiting, is that as the rate gets lower, the market becomes more competitive. I think also to add with that is that a lot of people have this mindset that they're going to wait. Could be because of interest rates. It might not necessarily be the number. Well, I'll just say that a lot of people are waiting, whether it's because of interest rates or other reasons. And so when interest rates move down and homes get a little bit more affordable, we do expect a lot more buyer interest, making the market competitive. And not just because of the price, but just what we call pent-up demand. There's going to be pent-up demand where we haven't had close to a year and a half of normal sales volume. And then as soon as homes get a little bit more affordable on the rate side, a lot of people are going to enter the market, and the market's going to be really competitive. And guess what's going to happen to price? Boom, it's going to shoot up again. When you think about buying today, you just, you really need to sit down and look at what that mortgage amount means, and if you can take that on long term. And then a lot of people want to think about, well, I'll probably be able to refinance it in 1 year or 2 years, or predicting how long I'm going to have this higher interest rate. And the bottom line is we don't really know. You could have it for 1 year, you might have it for 5 years. So you really got to be able to commit to whatever that means. But I would say, I think that interest rate could be in the 6s, but I don't think you'll see a 4. And if you see a 5, it's probably going to be like a 5.5. It's hard to see interest rates coming down 2% anytime soon. But I think you could see 6s. But I think overall, you can't have a short-term strategy on real estate, whether it's the mortgage side of it or the house side of it. I personally do not advise on short-term strategies. Like, you heard this a lot: marry the house, date the rate, or something like this. I mean, this is terrible advice, because it's already not happening for people. So you just need to be able to do it long term. Yeah, how do you know is really something I see. How do you know that you're ready and qualified and can afford to, make the commitment and buy a home and commit to this mortgage? And really getting a good consultation with a mortgage loan officer. And I think a lot of people are under the misconception that they can't get pre-approved until they're ready to buy now. And it's a huge misconception. A lot of people think that it's going to affect their credit negatively, which is not true for most people. They think that they're wasting a professional's time because they're not ready to act right away. And the problem with all of this thinking is that you're trying to aim at a moving target when you have the blindfold on. So you really need to get with a good loan officer. Hopefully that person comes to you on referral by your agent, or maybe someone that you really trust, and that loan officer has done a good job for them. And they can sit down and ask you, like, well, what do you want to pay per month? And they can back into like what that means in terms of purchase power, or you can share your finances with them and they can give you a more holistic consultation. But you really got to get that out of the way and understand that you don't have to buy right away to get that kind of consultation. And it's really powerful information just to be able to say, like, I'm here and I need to go to here in order to buy the home. And I know exactly what that means and what it takes to get there. And that's really how you accomplish a goal. Alternatively, it could be you're ready now and you didn't know it. At least financially you could do it. And maybe there's something that isn't quite perfect that you want to work on to get yourself in a better place. And just having that education and that guidance, really, it makes it such a huge difference. Yeah, the role I play is helping discover, what it is that you want to accomplish and what gaps exist in order to accomplish that, and then help filling those gaps in. So sometimes people have already had the loan consultation, but they don't know how to fit that price into the type of home and location that they want. And alternatively, they know what they want to buy or would like to buy, but they don't know like how to purchase it or what they could qualify for or what that exactly means financially. And so I can plug in, the mortgage resources, and then there can be all kinds of different little permutations of that. But those are the two most common. Reach out to me any way that's convenient to you. Phone, text, email, DM me. Whatever. I'm on it all, and we just start with an appointment, a phone call, see where you're at, what you need, and we go from there. There's no pressure. I'm going to be here for a long time. We don't need you to buy tomorrow. It's all good. But I'm just saying, don't delay unnecessarily. Get clear and then put it to use. And, you'll be financially in a better place. And I think personally, you're in a better place too, because then you get to control your space. If you like working in the yard, you want to make a garden, you want to have that stability in your life where like you're not going to get a rent increase, or your neighbor's not going to kick you out, or your landlord's not going to kick you out of the home because they want to move into it now, or whatever. It's not just about making money or increasing your wealth. That's a big part of it, but maybe you just want to control your home and the place you spend the most time, and I think that's great too.